Afternoon. I was
How are
wanting,
you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good, good, good. I'm
Can
gonna
I
go
test?
ahead and
Um,
make you
oh, perfect.
a co-host.
Perfect. I was going to say, I want to test my sound just to make sure because the big chunk
Absolutely.
is playing our keynote presenters video.
So I'm gonna make each of the speakers a co-host
Okay.
just in case. So we have a backup to a backup
Perfect.
to a backup.
Perfection.
All right. Well, now I see it's 12:01 my time. So hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Allison Reef, and I'm a department chair in the School of General Studies here at UAGC. And I'll be host for this session, Ed Talks at TLC Presents, Sowing Seeds, a Student Perspective. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. And I believe at the end, also hop on the microphones. The team is always happy for that. We have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, click the live transcription button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now I'm pleased to introduce you to Doctors Jessi Upshaw, Jackie Kyger, Beattie, and Ishonté Allar, or Tay, as we like to call her, from the Department of Education and Liberal Arts within the College of Arts and Sciences here at UAGC. And I'll hand it over to you, Jessi.
Thank you, Allie. Welcome. As Allie said, my name is Dr. Jessi Upshaw, and I want to thank you all for joining us at the UAGC Teaching and Learning Conference, where over the next 3 days, we will all consider and examine working towards YES, open access as innovation in higher education culture. We are so happy that you chose to join us as the UAGC Department of Education and Liberal Arts presents to you our Ed Talks at TLC. Welcome everyone to our 5th annual Ed Talks at TLC session with student presenters. Sowing Seeds, a Student Perspective. Whether this is your first or 50th Ed Talk, in my opinion, you are in for a session of inspiration and collaboration. Speaking of collaboration, I am honored to be joined today by 3 faculty members of the Professional Development Committee of the Department of Education and Liberal Arts from UAGC that you see pictured here, and as Allie mentioned at the beginning. We will be your hosts for this very special Ed Talk, but we want to introduce you in just a few moments to the real star of today's show. Before I do that, let me introduce to you Ed Talks. For those of you that are new to Ed Talks, this is not your traditional professional development webinar or conference presentation. Established in 2015, Ed Talks are fashioned after TED Talks, the ever-popular way of sharing concepts through personal storytelling using a short monologue format. We do this because we want to inspire and hear your stories, and we can best do that by sharing our stories. Our goal is not to teach you anything new, as you are already an expert in your role. Our goal is to perhaps motivate you to try something new in your approach to student success, whether you are a faculty member, student support team member, administrator, or a student yourself. At the end of our time today, we will open up the floor for Q&A and sharing out as we look forward to hearing your story of what you are doing or will do in your classroom or learning environment. Now let's get started. Let me set the stage. This year, our 6th session Ed Talk series was inspired by the work of Dr. Newton Miller II of UAGC's Department of Education and Liberal Arts. We will hear a little from our distinguished author later in our time together. This year's series introduced sowing and growing seeds as a metaphor for better understanding the relationship between learner and educator, or seed and sower. Each session examined principles through this lens to develop the mindset aimed at maximizing potential and promoting growth and achievement for learners in the online higher education environment. While Dr. Miller's writing was originally looking at another educational environment, his extended work in our series has looked at his principles as they apply to the higher education classroom, especially in open access environments. Those principles that you see on the screen right now, let me go over them just a little bit. Our metaphors. First principle, seeds and sowers, the interconnection between learner and educator to work towards growth. Potential of a seed. I think that speaks to itself, and Dr. Miller will speak to that in a bit. Accept only what you expect. Set high expectations in the classroom while scaffolding to support success for each learner. Specific seeds require specific needs. Set up each learning exchange to meet students where they are and have the right tools in your educator tool belt. Don't be afraid to use fertilizer and pesticides. Enrich the classroom and don't water it down. Believe it or not, the seedlings are trying to grow. The seeds are here to learn and grow, and sowers of education need to give them care, community, and action. Even the planter needs cultivating. As an educator or future professional, take care of your professional development and yourself first so that you are prepared to take care of others with the right tools. The greatest growth happens together. Focus on collaboration inside the classroom, around the university community, and through professional learning communities supporting a shared vision of growing capacity. Number 9, make the seeds aware they are seeds. Each learner enters that classroom with goals and potential. And number 10, rotate the crops, keep it moving. So I want you to keep those principles of support in mind as you listen on. And now I want to pass this over to Dr. Ishonté Allar to introduce our next speaker.
Now, for the star of our show and the center of all that we do, our student keynote speaker, who I believe is actually in the room today. Prior to today's conference, our UAGC student keynote speaker was given a series of questions to consider to spark her individual story, all relating to the common theme of realizing potential and building community and support. While you might hear specific experiences related to UAGC, listen for the common themes and characteristics that provide a supportive university experience for student growth. Here to share her story today, we have Tanisha Pryor. Toonie, the mic is yours.
Hi, my name is Tanisha Pryor, but everyone calls me Toonie for short. I have an interest in dance, reading. I love going out to play outside with my family. I enjoy the fall season, winter holidays, and connecting with others. I'm so blessed to be the mom and wife of 4 amazing children and my amazing husband. I have some amazing experience with them, memories with them. I have a son who's autistic, and it is through that I had the opportunity to learn more how to support him, his needs, and my family's needs as a whole. My mother was a single mother raising 3 children of her own. We had our ups and downs. At a young age, I experienced some challenges that no girl should ever go through. She always tells me that she knew I would work with children one day. She saw that gift in me before I even saw it. I was volunteering in the community. I was helping out with children during the holidays. I was helping out in the schools. That was something that I truly enjoyed doing, and it made me feel good. It also made me feel like that I wasn't alone. I had amazing teachers in my life who saw the potential and greatness in me, and it was those amazing relationships that I made the decision to work with children, to become an educator. I enjoyed watching Mr. Rogers, as somebody actually studied Mr. Rogers, and just his path in bettering education and helping children, helping students to succeed and to have those resources and support. And once I knew that I wanted to become an educator, I looked at the steps that I needed to take. And there were some challenges, but I didn't give up. I started out as a family child care provider in my home, which was a licensed program. And I truly enjoyed that. I learned to expand my education, to expand the teachings that I was giving to the students. So it wasn't just, I wanted to go beyond the classroom. I didn't want to just teach the children in the 4 walls. I wanted to teach them at the farm. I wanted to teach them outside, have lessons outside, go to the park and teach. I wanted them to experience things things that they may have never experienced, because education goes so far, and it goes, like I said, beyond the classroom. It goes beyond the walls. It's everywhere we go. Education or something can be taught. And that's one of the things that I've learned from my teachers who were in my life, that you can learn everywhere you go. The grocery store, beyond that, you can truly learn everywhere. And that's one of the things I love and that I still incorporate into my program today. Once I accepted the call for children, I knew I wanted to give it my all. I wanted to learn more, study more, dig deeper into education, where it started, where it's going now, because the generation changes so much. And I wanted to go to school for early child education. I didn't know where I wanted to go at first, but I saw and I learned about different schools, and I tried to apply for them. I didn't get in at first. I had some challenges. I felt like giving up, and I didn't know what to do until on Facebook, I actually saw advertisement for UAGC, and that was the open door for me. I wanted to dig deeper and learn more about this school. I looked on YouTube, I looked on Google, I did all the research to learn and dig deeper, because the school just looked so interesting, and it looked so exciting, and it looked like it was really for the students, and not just the school gaining students, but the students gaining support. And so that's one of the things that I truly was like, okay, this is the school for me. I applied to UAGC before it was UAGC, and did not get in, and I felt like that was it for me. I didn't feel like maybe it wasn't meant for me. I thought, okay, maybe I should just give up, try something else. And once my son got diagnosed with autism a year ago, something told me to try again. I felt like, okay, I really want to dig deeper. I want to not only support other children, but also support mine. And something told me to try again. And I saw a post again on Facebook, and I saw a post again on YouTube, and the advertisements were so inspirational. I prayed, I asked the Lord, I said, okay, should I go for it again? And I went for it, and I got accepted. I got accepted to UAGC, and that was the happiest moment of my life. And I can't stress that enough. I'm trying not to get emotional, but that was truly one of the best moments of my life, because for years I wanted this experience to learn, to dig deeper into education and support children. I also have a girls mentoring program, and I wanted to support children, youth. I really wanted to dig deeper in their development and all of that. And so when I got accepted, that was like the best day of my life, besides my kids being born, besides getting married. And that was just from there, the journey just bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. And it's through that I got connected with some awesome enrollment advisors. I got connected with some awesome academic advisors. I got connected with some amazing students, just the student support through the connect that we have, the UAGC Connect, the student support through the Facebook group that we have for UAGC. It has truly been amazing. It has been an awesome blessing, and you can ask questions, and there are people and students there that are truly there to help you. There are people that can relate to you through UAGC, and I've made so many friendships. I've made so many connections with other educators who want to do the things that I'm doing, and I want to do what they're doing. And I'm just really excited for where the school is going, and just what more is going to come out of it. This is not the first school that I attended, but by far it is the best. And I cannot stress that enough. It really is. And I know that timing is everything. And so, like I said, once I got my son's diagnosis, the opportunity came, and I got accepted. And so I know that the timing was right on time, because there is such a need and support for other children who are special needs, or just education support altogether. And so I'm currently paying for school out of pocket, but I don't regret that. I don't regret that at all, because I know that there's a greater benefit that's going to come out of it. And the educator that I am, and the desire to fight and advocate for education and for the students. the child care agency that I am connected to with my license program in Georgia, they have a program that pays for tuition, but unfortunately they're only doing Georgia schools. And I was going to let this discourage me. I was going to let this, okay, maybe I need to change schools. But honestly, the connection and the support of UAGC really has me like, this is where I want to be. If I gotta pay, I'll pay. The connection is so amazing. The support, the friendships, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, all of this, it truly is a great impact. And I've been so blessed by it. And so I don't want to change schools. I would not, even though they took UAGC off the list of schools that they support, that's okay. I'm still going to be here, and I'm going to encourage others. This is a great school, and it's worth going to. And it's honestly life-changing, because the things that I've learned in the classes, about child development and so more has helped me and my family. And it's truly been a humbling experience. And I see myself growing as an even greater educator. So I'm just truly excited, and I continue to get with the child care agency here in Georgia and encourage them to put the school back on the list, because it really is, and it does have a great education program for future educators. As a student at UAGC, I've truly built confidence in myself. I've built confidence in my work as a child care provider. I really have dug deeper into myself and saw what I need to work on, what I need to correct, what I need to change. And it's truly through this program that I've gained that support as a business owner, as an educator, and just that feeling of knowing that I can do this. You truly have a great community at UAGC that allows you to know that we're here for you, we're listening, we care, and they truly daily, weekly sending us emails and reminders and encouragement to let us know, and celebrating us. For me, I have a 4.0, and I've never had that, and to have that and to be celebrated, to be on the dean's list, and to get that email and congratulate me, like, it feels good, because you know that you have people cheering you on in the background, even though you don't physically see them unless it's virtual. But just to know that you have that support and you have people cheering you on, like, I love UAGC about that. I love them, guys. They're amazing. My enrollment advisor was amazing. She truly encouraged me through it all. Even when we maybe had some hiccups or some challenges through the application process, she told me, like, she saw potential in me, she saw greatness in me, she saw a gift in me, something special in me, and she wanted to help me get enrolled into the school. And she constantly called me, emailed me, hey, this is what's going on. And I love that she believed in me, even when I felt like I was getting discouraged, like, okay, maybe it's not going to happen. And she fought for me. And so I just want to share that they will fight for you. If this is your desire, if this is your goal, to attend this school, to get this degree, to get this PhD, to get this master's, they are truly fighting for you, cheering for you, advocating for you. And I love, once again, this school for this, because it made me feel important, and they really do make you feel like that. I love the UAGC Connect because there's so many groups on there. You have a Champs mentor. I love that you can stay connected with other students on different topics that you can relate to. I am a part of the ECE Club, the Global Black Community, lifting our voices, students inspired by sport, and also UAGC Support for Autism Club. And I love it. That's probably one of my favorites, because I am a parent of an autistic son, and the support that I've gotten in that group has been amazing. There's been days when I have to say like, oh my God, I'm struggling, or hey, I don't feel like being strong today. And other women and other men have been in there who have children who are autistic, who have years of experience with it, and they've been a great support. So you get support on so many things, not just educational, but also life things. And I love and I'm grateful for each one and every one of those people, because it helps me keep pushing. It truly helps me keep pushing, and it helps me to keep going. And it puts that fire in me to say, hey, I got this, so we are truly cheering on each other. We are truly advocating for each other, and we're creating that village for each other, and we can lean on each other. So, I mean, it's been amazing. The connect is awesome, awesome, awesome. I feel like these people are like right next to me because they're cheering me on, they're pushing me, they're advocating for me, they're telling me don't give up. And, we're all over the world. And so those are my brothers and sisters in UAGC. I have used the Writing Center a lot, a lot. And it's been a great help. You actually talk to people and they guide you through the things that you need to connect. If they're open to you asking questions, especially if you truly want to learn from me. It's been a minute since I've done some writing, since probably high school and at the other colleges that I attended, but they truly are, there's no judgment, it's support. And I love that. And I love that you can ask questions. There's no silly question. They will answer it. They will show you how to do it. And they truly guide you through it. I love that the Writing Center has like the whiteboard and things that you can actually see as they're correcting you, as they're giving you the wisdom. You can see it where they're correcting and making the corrections, and how to change it. So I love that. It's like being in a virtual classroom and you're looking at the whiteboard, and so you're able to see, okay, this is what you should have done, or you can do this. So I am grateful for them. I'm grateful for Grammarly. The school provides Grammarly for you, and I have used that so much. I probably have so many papers on there, and it helps me because I do want to become a better writer. As an educator and as someone who has a nonprofit program, I want to become a better writer, so that way the knowledge is coming out correctly so that students and youth can understand what we're trying to say. I'm happy that I'm able to approve my APA format, especially, like I said, when you've been out of school for a while, and those minor mistakes that you may miss, because sometimes we go through our assignments and we may miss something, and those teachers and leaders in the Writing Center and in Grammarly, they help you correct those. So I'm truly grateful for that. It's an awesome resource that the school provides for you. I want to tell students to hold on, to don't give up, and to never let your age or anything like that stop you from doing something that you desire. No matter how old or young you are, if you desire to go to school to learn, to build your career, to start a career, definitely do it. I promise you that at UAGC, you will have an amazing support system. Don't be afraid to lean on the students. Don't be afraid to lean on the faculty support. Yes, the classes are 5 to 6 weeks, and it could be challenging. It could be challenging, but just know that you have a support there, and just be encouraged. I'm grateful for the YouTube videos that the school provides. I love watching the graduations over and over. I love watching the speakers. That may sound crazy, but it truly does motivate me to push to the finish line. Some of those speakers have said words that I really needed to hear right now, and they spoke life into me, into my situation, into what I'm feeling in that moment. And so I listen to those words constantly. Like I said, it sounds crazy, but I do. I watch those graduation videos on YouTube. I go to the Facebook page and I watch those videos, and I be encouraged, and it gives me that push and that fire to keep going, because I want to make it. I'm going to make it to that graduation. I'm going to have the opportunity to listen to a speaker and celebrate and turn my tassel and celebrate getting my degree in early child education, going back for my master's in special education, because I really want to advocate for those students. And I'm going to get there because I have a support. And UAGC is an amazing community. once again, I can't stress that enough. It is an amazing community. There's so many schools around, but there's not one like UAGC. Not, and I put my stamp on that. Is not one like UAGC. This is the best school. It is the best school, and you can fit your own schedule around it. And like I said, you have such an amazing support. The support is the bomb. It's amazing, and I love it. Go Wildcats.
Let's hear it for our speaker.
You heard Toonie say it best as she shared her story, reflecting on her journey, along with the tools and actions that created a supportive learning environment. As we reflect on this impact and frame our discussion through the lens of our Ed Talk season, let's hear from the author of Why Some Seeds Don't Grow, UAGC Program Chair, Dr. Newton Miller II. In the following clip from our first Ed Talk this season, Dr. Miller shares with us a little about how professionals foster growth for all, and he lays some of the groundwork on the term at potential.
For this opportunity, I figured I'd kind of be transparent and let you guys know that back in 2008, I worked with some administrators, and there was one young administrator who was having problems with their school. So they were mimicking what I was doing in my school, but they weren't having the same good results. So when I went to kind of check them out and to see what was going on, I saw that they were very mechanical in what we were doing, but they didn't pretty much have the spirit of the why behind the initiatives, and the interventions we were doing. So I decided to try to write them like a little manual, if you will, to share the principles behind, that were behind the things that we were doing, so that maybe they could, do as well. And I did it in a gigantic metaphor, because I figured it would be easy for them, where the students were the seeds, and the parents and the community members and the educators, we were the caretakers of the garden. Well, as you would have it in K-12, assignment shift, he wasn't the principal of that building anymore. I wasn't the principal of the one I was at. So I kind of put the work away and forgot about it for about 10 years before I actually pulled it out and decided to transfer it to book form and publish it, right? But that 10 years was really a good thing, because I realized that just knowing those principles was only part of the formula. It was incomplete for serving at potential students. You see, in education, we label everything. Right, I'm sure you'll agree. See, it's if we're not performing the way that it should perform, if it's not adjusting the way we think it should adjust, if it's not culturally congruent to the environment that we've established as the norm, if it needs accommodations or it needs differentiation, then we label those things in terms like, and you've heard these terms, at risk, or marginalized, or underserved, or underrepresented. Back in the day, we used to say oppressed. And back in the Ashford days, we had 3 words. I can only remember one of them. One of them was striver. Some of you might remember some of the other words. And now we call them yellow students or red students. Now, all those terms, whether we mean it or not, they have negative connotations. They come from a deficit language approach. Really what we're doing is we're telling the students that you're at a place where you're surrounded by risk. And everything for you is going to be an uphill challenge. And that challenge is going to be different for you than it is for your counterparts, because the factors that describe you are different than the factors that describe them. So not only does this impact our students in negative ways, I hate to tell you, but it negatively influences how we think about our students, and therefore how we act towards our students. So no matter what we do as educators, we impede the seed so it can't grow to its maximum potential, because according to the labels we're using, we're not even expecting it to. But on the other hand, that term at potential that I like to use, well, it means that the student's not at a point where they're surrounded by risk, but they're at a point of great potential. So despite the challenges or the roadblocks that are a reality in their lives, right? That term at potential sends a very clear message to the student that if you could just take one more step, if you can hold the line, if you could just bear the load just a little while longer, if you can find the courage to ask for help and try one more time, then a whole gigantic world of new opportunities and possibilities, they're yours. They're yours for the picking. You see, how we perceive a thing, well, that determines how we receive a thing. And how that thing is received directly dictates what we think we're even capable of accomplishing with what we've been given to work with. So simply saying at potential not only helps the students look farther than they can see as it applies to their own selves. If we speak a different thing about our students, then we speak life into our own thoughts. And you know, thoughts provoke actions or feelings, and feelings provoke actions, and actions that go unchecked, well, they turn into habits. And habits eventually define our character and the very essence of who we are. So I'm imploring you, adopt this two-part weapon of mass production that lies in understanding these 10 principles and language that works with at-potential students. Because if we change our own perceptions, then we increase our ability to ensure that equitable access to mastery is delivered to every student that we serve. So it goes without saying that I'm honored to be a part of this. And I'm excited to see what these great speakers are going to say and the twist they're going to have on these 10 principles. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to be stretched by this fabulous lineup of speakers planned for this season of Ed Talks. So before I turn the mic over to Dr. Jackie, I just want to revert back to my track and field days. And I can remember being at the starting line ready to run, and the starting person, they would say, runners, take your mark, get set, and let's get ready to grow.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. We have had a wonderful 9 seasons of presenting stories, and this year has been around the idea of sowing seeds to get the best harvest for our students. Dr. Miller, we appreciate your leadership, your insight, and your willingness to write it all down in the way of a book. We took your book, we took your motivation for these 10 principles for educating, mentoring, and parenting urban youth, and we've applied it here. It was certainly my pleasure to kick the series off back in March as we considered the potential of the seed. But I would really like to thank Dr. Lauren Gonzalez, Dr. Michelle Simasek, Dr. Ishonté, Allar, Dr. Tisha Shipley, and Dr. Newton Miller for their willingness to put a personal story within each of our academic themes. Lauren shared her personal story in the way of a pretty pink bow prose that focused on meeting the needs of seeds and considering setting high expectations while scaffolding to support success and meet students where they are with the right tools. Michelle told her story inspired by her Air Force Academy son and by the principles of enriching instruction without watering that instruction down. Tay shared a story of her own student experience by having us consider the seeds are asking for help and focused on what a difference maker that care, community, and action can make in a student's life. Tisha's personal story on collaboration when working with others. It was inspired by a focus on collaborative leaders, PLCs, vision, and growing the capacity of seeds and sower. Back to Newton. Newton, our last presenter in the series and book author, brought it all together through his own student journey and a story of supporting seeds, rotating the crops, and preparing for the next season. And I would be remiss if I did not mention Dr. Jessi Upshaw. Jessi, as you may not know, is the chair for the Dell Professional Development Committee, the place where Ed Talks ideas happen. And none of this would have been possible without her leadership. Thank you, Jessi. As we move to our interactive discussion, it will be led by our UAGC Ed Talks at TLC team, Dr. Ellen Beattie, Dr. Ishonté Allar, and Dr. Jessi Upshaw. So for those of you here today as we open up the chat lines, we want to discuss your takeaways from today's story and consider these 3 questions you see on the screen as we reflect on our own teaching practices, looking through that lens of sowing seeds and supporting student success. So please start sharing your impressions, your ideas, and perhaps your new approach in the chat. Be sure, because we all want to hear from you, be sure you have your chat set to everyone. And we would also love to hear from you. So to share with us your audio, simply raise your hand using the hand icon on what I think is on the bottom of your screen. You'll then be given that opportunity to unmute your microphone and share your story or reflection in that way. We invite you to join the conversation now to inspire others with your story.
Thank you, Jackie. And for those of you that may not be able to see your screen at this moment or don't have access to it, the questions are: how might faculty, support professionals, and students work together to sow the seeds of success and potential with access for all? How do you build connection in the online classroom? And how are you already supporting an authentic, caring culture in your classroom or with your students? And what are your next steps? We also happen to have the author and our keynote speaker, Tanisha Pryor, in the room. So if either of you want to come on camera, no pressure, and join the conversation as well, we would love to have you.
You got a quiet bunch, Dr. Upshaw.
They're just taking in that amazing story from from Tanisha Pryor. I know I'm still taking it all in. One of my biggest takeaways from this whole series, from Dr. Miller's work, from Tuni's story, has just really been the importance of those resources that we provide and putting them to be available up front, not waiting for students to ask for them, not waiting to see and ask what they need, doing our best to find out what is needed and then proactively get ahead of those needs to make sure. And I think that really comes to the core of what the approach of open access is all about: removing the barriers, providing what's needed, not waiting for someone to have to ask for it. Dr. Miller, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that now that you've heard the entire series and heard Tuni's story. Anything we missed? Anything else we should be thinking about as we look to the next season?
Well, I think we have an expert in the room. We have Tanisha Tuni. So I know she was in class with me at EDU 100. So I'd like to kind of, if Tuni, if you'll answer this, what do you think? You know, what things did you encounter in the courses that you had so far with your instructors? You know, I mean, that helped you, that supported you. You know, I know you mentioned, you know, some of the resources and tools we have, but what about the instructors? What are some of the things that instructors in particular did? Some of the styles said, you know, I'm giving you time to think. You know, what are some of the things that we laid down? You know, what was our accommodation package that helped you be successful beyond your own motivation?
There we go. Okay, sorry, I was trying to get it going. So for me, I like that instructors truly pushed you to be your best and kind of get out your comfort zone with your words, you know, especially in your class, really making us dig deeper and think harder, not just giving answers out in the discussions, not just putting anything on the paper, but really like researching, digging deeper, digging into those scholarly resources, and kind of, like I said, stepping out of our comfort zone. Like I really, in a lot of my classes, especially yours, I really had to like push myself, like, okay, TJ, you really got to dig deeper. You really got to think beyond, you know, you're the normal. And so, I mean, it's been a great help for me. And actually now I transitioned from out of my home childcare, and now I'm working in the elementary school. So being able to put those things into practice now, like I'm glad that I was pushed, because I see a lot of things that we talked about in the schools, and I want to be a help more to change some of those things that need to be changed, and be a voice, and be one who truly fights for the children and what they need. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Can I follow up on that, Dr. Upshaw? Is it okay? I don't want to steal all the time. It's okay. So, Tony, in the class, like we have 5 weeks, and we use Pack as a discussion. So those who don't know it, the students actually ask a question instead of being asked a question that they answer. They present the question for their peers to respond to, kind of like a inquiry-based Socratic method mixture. And some of the things that Tuni talked about, she talked about small groups. Why are they necessary? Why does every moment matter in the educational setting? She talked about mentoring programs and why they're necessary in education settings. She talked about if I wasn't a teacher, then here's what I would be. And I believe she said a librarian is what she said, and gave us some examples of some books. And then she talked about how not public, what am I want to say? Professional development for educators is important even after receiving their certification. So with that wide array of knowledge, I don't know if Tony, what you just said there, that was wide. That was like mayonnaise on the bread right there. You covered the whole slice of bread, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So every seed has a specific need, right? Specific needs
Yes,
for
sir.
specific seeds. So with all that, and you working in the daycare, what are some of the things that you think are necessary for us educators to do to meet the needs of those potential students, those outliers that don't necessarily fall in the main vein of things?
I think with educators, we've been kind of put in a box where we can't get real with parents, if I can be honest. And so that's probably one of the realest things is, when I look at I grew up on like the old movies, Lean on Me and all that, and those were the educators who were real and raw. And I think we've gotten so, of course we don't want to hurt any parents' feelings, but we've gotten so gentle that, that's why we got kids running all over teachers, and we're losing teachers and losing educators and losing principals and losing this and losing that. And we got to get real and raw. This is what your child needs. Your child has this delay. Your child don't know how to spell their name. Your child don't know how to write yet, and they're in the first grade. Your child is on a 5th grade level, but they're in the 7th grade, that type of thing. So I think we got to kind of build that community back where we can be real and honest with parents, and it doesn't look like we're tearing them down. No, we're honestly trying to build you up and build your child up for success, so that they won't be in college not knowing how to count. I know that sounds silly, but or add, or so that's one of the biggest things I see is we have to be real. And then also, for me being a parent of an autistic child, we can't be afraid if we know that our child may have some kind of delay or disability. No, get that help for them, because we want them to be successful. So I think we should be able to educate without being in fear. We should be able to teach without worrying about, whatever it may be. So that's my biggest thing.
So much.
Hey, Jessi, I would like to take everything Tuni just said and just kind of restate it, as that's exactly how I feel as an educator here at UAGC with my students. When we think about that culture of care, it's not a culture of comfortable. It's a culture of care, and being held to that same rigor while being empathetic to what may be going on. But that awareness is, while you may have brought the baggage of being late in week 1, and I will agree to accommodate you, the bigger goal here is that you progress through and create patterns and good habits that I don't have to accommodate you for being late by the time we get to week 5 or week 6. So Toonie, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Upshaw, do you see Julie, Dr. Aiken's question in the chat?
Do. Thank you for drawing attention to that. Dr. Atkins asks here, after responding to the presentation, let's see, let me find it one more time. What recommendations would you provide professors to be more inviting for students who may be less reluctant to reach out to their professors when they need help? And Toonie, if you want to take that one, or anyone in the room who has experience in a classroom. So the question is, what recommendations would you provide professors to be more inviting for students who may be less reluctant, or maybe more reluctant to reach out to their professors when they need help? What can we do to reach out, or to reach those who may not reach for help, I think is the crux of that question. And everyone else in the room, if you want to share in the chat or come on and respond to Dr. Atkins' question.
Really like to hear from Toonie, but I'll give her a chance to warm up. I mean, if I'm always gonna have a response, but no, what you got for us, Toonie?
I would say honestly, maybe like a midweek check-in. I mean, I know professors have their own lives, and so I never want to take from that. But I would say maybe a midweek check-in with each student to see, hey, how you doing? It could be through email, it could be through I guess the Canvas inbox or whatever, and then that kind of just lets I kind of open the door for the student to be comfortable and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, but maybe like a midweek check-in would help, or something like that. I don't know.
Love that, being proactive and reaching out. Thank you so much for sharing that, Toonie. Dr. Reef shares in the chat, as instructors, we sometimes are forgetting the importance of students connecting to other students. She mentions, as instructors, we can say, go to the library or check Handshake and the Career Center. But when students can share their personal stories about how resources help them, it's much more valuable. Hearing it from other students is important. So providing those opportunities within the classroom, and Toonie mentioned in her story all of the other resources we have at the institution, providing those spaces like the UAGC Global Connect, where student organizations are, the social media pages where students can interact, and then within the classroom as well. So Toonie and Dr. Reef, thank you for bringing that to our attention as well, the importance of that connection.
Dr. Stewart in the chat box also mentions that it's important to let people know that it's safe to ask for help. Yes. And I mentioned, as an instructor, if you feel like you're saying something over and over and over and over, you are probably just then getting your message across. It's that consistency of messaging that builds trust.
Dr. Stewart's answer is way deeper than it sounds, because it's getting into the why someone would not want to respond. And in education, I've found out throughout the years that that's really our issue. There's cultural barriers, communication barriers, those are kind of barriers between us and our students. And finding that why in that particular setting for that particular student or group of students is the key for us. It's really the challenge. It's really, how we win the game. So I know if a lot of potential students, I like to think of it this way: opposites have to exist. So in order for a plane to fly, it starts going fast down the track, and then in the runway, and the wind goes under the wings. And when enough force goes under the wings, a thing called lift happens, right? And it makes the plane go up. But lift can't happen if there's not gravity pushing down. So there has to be opposites. So when how that applies to this, I believe, of getting students to respond, is me understanding that the opposite that I may be, or the opposite that they may be, and to address that. So if they see me as the system, then I have to do the opposite of what the system would do to create a crack in their armor, to get a response, or to let them know, listen, I'm on your side here, and move from there. But anyway, I'm rambling, but I think that Mr. Stewart's response is way deeper than it sounds right there. So thank you for saying that, sir.
And thanks for bringing that together for us, Newton. I'll mention one more, and I do see our chat is kind of winding down, but I do want to draw attention to Dr. Leary Handy mentions another TLC session today. James Bond said, "See, listen, support," as a response here, and I think that's a short group of words we can always remember: see, listen, support, and be there for students. All good things. Let's move over to what's coming next, Jackie.
Absolutely. Next year is our 10th season of Ed Talks. We hope to make it our best season ever. It's inspired by Flourish, the pivotal work of Martin Seligman within the field of positive psychology, which explores the concept of science, of well-being and happiness, moving beyond traditional ideas of positive thinking. Our source material introduces the PERMA model, which includes 5 essential elements for fulfilling life, and they are positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. Martin Seligman contends that true well-being comes from nurturing these elements and emphasizes the importance of positive psychology in improving mental health and overall life satisfaction. Our Ed Talk series will examine supporting students and colleagues through the lens of positive psychology, cultivating a flourishing learning environment and self-care as leaders and instructors. Each story will consider the relationship between well-being and the contemporary culture of open access in higher education. Now, I want to recognize our own Dr. Ellen Beattie for leading us to and educating us on this relevant topic through her background and experience as a positive psychology professional. Ellen will be kicking off this session with her story in 2024, and we truly are excited for that. So stay tuned for more to come as we launch. And before we go, we want to draw your attention to our Ed Talks homepage, where you'll find Ed Talks recordings and certificates of attendance. And all good things do come to an end. And we so much appreciate you all coming and sitting in and listening to that student story.
On
Please
behalf,
watch,
I'm
sorry, please watch the chat for the link for these recordings. As you move into the holiday season, we know we cannot compete with the traditional movies that you may be watching. But should you find the time, all of our recordings are right here for your viewing pleasure. Thank you. Jessi, back to you.
Thank you, Jackie. I just want to end with saying, on behalf of the UAGC Department of Education and Liberal Arts, we would like to thank our presenter today, Tunisia Pryor, and the author, Dr. Newton Miller. And I would like to express my gratitude to the members of the TLC Ed Talks team here on your screen. On behalf of our department chair, Dr. Denise Maxwell, and our dean, Dr. Tony Farrell, we thank you for attending today as we conclude this year's Ed Talks, and we will see you next season.
Before you go, we have in the chat, I've added a link for the survey to nominate TLC presentations for conference awards and to share your feedback in general. Again, let's say thank you to Jessi, Jackie, Ellen, Tay, Newton, and Toonie. Most of all, I think she, no offense, but stole your show because it was wonderful to hear from her. But I think that was the intent. And also thank you for our audience today. We had a great participation, and look forward to the little teaser you gave for next year's talks. I'm very excited. I have to look into that book. So thank you, everybody. Have a great time. Good work.